Today I'll be working on a few assorted tasks that I want to get into the version 0.3 release of my typeface Lang. And this typeface is something I'm releasing progressively through future fonts. So if you haven't heard of that, that is where you can buy a font kind of early and then you get updates for free for life, but pay a reduced price up front. So I've got a new update to this coming extremely soon, and I've done pretty much all of the groundwork to make that update really good for people. But I'm also trying to fit in a few extra things just because I've got a little extra time. So I've got a big list here, actually, things that I've recorded in a GitHub issue, just a long list. And yeah, so like I've extended the localization features here a lot more accents. I've extended the swash caps a lot, added some like contextual alternates, and I don't know. I'll try to make a bigger list to share with the update. But today I'll just be kind of going through and like adding a few glyphs and making sure the glyphs that I have added like are the ones I want. So yeah, a friend told me like a few things that they hope to see in the font. And one of the first things actually that I wanted to just do real quickly is make sure that I'm adding case sensitive punctuation. And I realized I haven't quite added a case sensitive number sign. So I should probably do that. I'm just going through, and these little triangles and glyphs indicate that something hasn't gotten its metrics updated yet. So I'm just kind of going through and doing that when I see it, which is like Control Command M for metrics. Yeah, so I wanted to make a number sign case symbol real quickly. Maybe I'll grab a few, pop them open just to kind of see what it might be like. This doesn't have any curves in it, so I'll probably do it in the Roman first, or the upright, and then I might copy that over and just slant it. So let me actually pop this window open fully. And yeah, pretty much today I'm just gonna kind of draw a collection of glyphs and try to talk through what I'm doing. If that's interesting to anyone, cool. If it's not, YouTube has a lot of other good videos too. But yeah, so I'm gonna like copy and paste this into the background layer. So I just know what to do. Maybe I'll throw myself a guide here as well to make sure this drags up nice and easy. And yeah, I'm just kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, just kind of giving things 40 units of distance below the baseline and above the cap height when they are case sensitive. Just kind of to tuck them in a little bit. This looks like it's a little too high, so I'll drag these down. Yep, okay. And yeah, I just want them to kind of pop just a little bit above the case height and descender, but not this far. Or oh, and something this makes me realize is that because this is set up obviously for upper and lowercase, these are now way off center. So what's a good way to do that? I think I can turn on a ruler system here. I'm like still getting used to glyphs in some ways. Yeah, that works pretty nicely. So I'm just kind of matching those up. Okay. And this, oh, I have to fix the light one as well. This is like a two source family. So there's like a thin style and a black style, and then it interpolates between to get to all the other weights. Yeah, I'm sort of wondering, this is pretty dark. Like it's a really tiny hole there, and I'm not sure if I should do much to kind of make it a little fancier, or that is expand this counter slightly. Let me see if, does that actually, oh, that really messes it up. Okay, nope. Cutting doesn't just add points, unfortunately. That'd be kind of nice. That's how RoboFont works a little more, I believe. Maybe I will start by just kind of, oops, bumping these up a little bit. And let's take a look at what's happening down here. Okay. And I've been working in glyphs a little more just recently, in part because I am really testing out something called kerning, which allows for automated kerning, or semi-automated kerning rather. You still have to give it a fair bit of input for it to really work well, but it's pretty cool for something like a future fonts update where like you want to give people as much as you can in a limited amount of time. And like ultimately, I think for the full release of fonts, I don't think I would completely trust. It's hard to talk and work. I don't think I would completely trust the kerning with like a full release necessarily, because like it just, I don't know. I'm bullish on it long term, but in the short term, it seems to just have a few things that it does which I don't expect it to do. It's the best way to say it, I guess. So, all right. I'm basically happy with this. I don't think these should change on the inside, but they can go thinner than they were, simply because like the thin strokes of the rest of it are pretty thin. That feels pretty balanced here. So I'm going to remove these points that I added. And meanwhile, the horizontals, those are nice to open up just slightly here. But of course I have to match that here. Another reason that putting these points along the horizontals is good is because like extra points along a diagonal line can cause some interpolation weirdness sometimes, but these points will be just fine. Like they won't shift or cause anything to go out of line on the grid. All right. Oh, another nice thing is that I can keep the things I already shortened, although I should make them a little narrower. 150. This is 170. So 1. Okay. And let's pop these back up. Where were they? Cool. All right, a little higher is generally a good thing. I'm going to pop on music for myself quietly. I'm just trying to remember the shortcuts I've assigned to volume. Okay. And then let's copy these. Fingers crossed this music doesn't pick up on my microphone too much. Just nice to have a little something for myself. All right. 4. By the way, I'm not going to put this music in the video because I think that gets copyright issues, but if you'd like to listen along, I'm listening to Animals as Leaders' relatively new album called Parhasia. It's very good. Highly recommend it. Very incredible band. All right. Nice like instrumental progressive metal. Kind of good thing to keep oneself fairly hyped. All right. Yes, I do want to select all of those. Wait, why isn't this guide? Maybe I have to move it there to get it to actually measure. 275. And yeah, you shouldn't always, or rather, you should often not try to measure too much in type design because it's easy to make silly mistakes where like these verticals aren't actually lined up anymore, or yeah, in the middle. So like it's important to like look at the thing you've done after you do it to make sure you didn't trust your guides and measurements too much. Let's see. I could do something like add a guide there, add a guide there. Why didn't the second one add? Did it? Maybe I was... A cool thing is that if you select a segment and then add a guide, it'll add it on that segment. It's kind of nice. All right, well, I got it pretty much exactly centered there, so sometimes the eyes are pretty impressive. Not just mine, just human eyes. All right. That looks pretty centered to me, so just trust myself. Cool. And one thing I'm suddenly curious about again is, oh, that gets a lot shorter, which I don't necessarily, I don't know what's right. I don't know what's right anymore. These should probably align. Although this might be the kind of thing yeah, I'm just going to make a judgment call that I believe they should just be aligned in either case with the slash. All right. And then I still want the another thing that I do sometimes if I don't really know a convention like that, where the convention probably matters, is I'll just go look at several fonts that I think I trust the design of, and yeah, kind of use that as extra input to decide whether I'm doing something sensible or not. Obviously, you have to be careful not to just blindly copy things or blindly trust the decisions of others. I don't know. You kind of... Here I'm making sure the contours are in the right order. This is a funny interface that I always have to think about a little bit extra, but it's basically allowing me to sort things. There's a guide for it on Glyphs website, but you kind of want to match your rows here. So, and then that allows something to interpolate. So if we look at medium, oh, and as an example of, say, what can happen if the order is out, oh, well, all of these points are crisscrossing, as you can see. So if we get it back, now it's interpolating again. Cool. And I kind of want to make sure that, oh god, also have to put this stroke back in the middle more. Let's see. How does arrow type look like? Cool. Hashtag fonts. Yeah. Pretty solid. All right. So I like that well enough. I just want to make sure that it's relatively consistent over here. Bet you didn't expect to get a video about the alignment of the number sign, but stuff like this is like what font making is all about. Just like continually refining things and looking for things to refine. One question I have is I might not have slanted that at all, but maybe it doesn't need it. You don't necessarily have to slant. Oh, okay, it is slanted. All right, fair enough. You don't have to slant everything, so like, yeah, it's always good to stop and think like, should this be slanted? Not always. So like the degree sign, for instance, doesn't, do I even have the, I don't have it in here yet. That's something I want to add. Some people don't slant their slashes, I read the other day, but that seems like a bad thing to not slant. Yeah, also I hadn't actually slanted these to the full amount. I think I must have just slanted them to the point that felt appropriate. So maybe I'll just copy over. Well, yeah, I'll just copy over these bars to keep the height consistent. Often, if you were working in glyphs, you would choose to keep your italic and Roman masters in the same file. My nose is itchy today. In the same file, and that can be useful because you have to repeat a lot of information otherwise. But in this project, there's a lot of swash caps added, a ton of swash caps added. Wow, 616. Some of them are duplicates, but a lot of them are not. And I figure I'll add more swash caps in the italic, where I think they're a lot more useful, rather than trying to just split my effort. So that's my call, at least so far. There might still be a way to put them in the same file. Okay, yeah, this looks way too slanted, so let's pull it back a notch. Wonder... Oh, that's not what I wanted. I'm just going to try to get it mostly in line here. Suppose I can actually move points. Okay. Yeah, I think that looks good. Okay, now Command R to reorder. It's kind of a fun matching game once you get the idea. This is actually showing us, when I'm in the medium weight interpolation, that it's not quite interpolating properly just yet because the start points are wrong. So this is also showing us here, but you can just drag it up in that background image actually if you've got the show master compatibility option going. And that, yeah, fix that. Okay, so I still want to, let me check that there's not a number sign case. There's not. Okay. Wait, and did I change the... Ah, okay, better change the suffix. Otherwise, it's not going to be what I want. Okay. And change suffix. Okay. One, two, three, four. Throw on a guide for a moment. Really gotta make a script or something where I can set that guide segment thing to a shortcut. There's a nice little tool that does that in RoboFont, which I miss. Okay, 133. Center it up. Make sure those points stay in the middle of the paths. Oops, I still need to move these. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. Yeah, every new glyph. I mean, I haven't even gotten many sources going on in this font right now. Like a bigger variable font, like recursive or something, has way more going on. So every additional glyph can be a real lift in a case like that. Whereas here, it's not as much. I might reduce the amount of kind of staggering in these. Seems like a little much. All right. Does that look even? Well, usually won't be between two things anyway, so it's more about if there's enough space here. It's also kerned pretty strong, which I'm unsure that it should be, actually. Let me give a quick example of how kernon works. So I open up Control K to boot up the kernon thing. Oh, now it's interesting. It's giving it no kerning. Okay, another example. I wanted to loosen up the IT a little bit because it was just way too intense. So right now it's auto, but I'm going to open it up a little bit. And because I modified it myself, it makes it into a model, and then it goes ahead and uses that for future reference, kind of, to adjust the kerning in like the IA or IF or whatever else. So it's kind of smart. And sometimes, I don't know, not as perfect, but oh well. And then, yeah, and here it's no longer throwing in really massive kerning. I wonder though, maybe it's because it looks at the feature set actually. And let me update this automatically, might as well. It's a lot of case things. Okay. I guess it's also, yeah, subbing the, that's interesting. Subbing the case accents, which I don't know that it really needs to do, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. Okay. So now, I'm suddenly curious whether it, sometimes you have to be really careful actually, because if you open up kernon and don't run kernon fully, it's actually just going to delete all of the groups, which is a huge flaw, I would say, a bug right now so far. Maybe there's a slightly new version. I'm not sure. But Hopefully they eventually fix that, because, wow, that can really bite you. But yeah, cool plugin overall. Really nice for like getting out a better version of point release, for instance, or like a pre-release than you might otherwise have time to fully kern by yourself. And I guess I'll pause for a moment while it does this. All right, so I'm back after running a kernon session and like looking at the forum a little bit to better understand a couple of questions around it. Yeah, and so I've got the case number sign, and let's see. It's already probably been a slightly long video in a way, but let's try to add a couple of other symbols just to have a little more to do. So let's see. Yeah, these are some good ones. Percentage, definitely multiply. Didn't I already? I think I added the percentage the other day, perhaps. Yeah, I had. Okay, cool. And then a multiply sign. Do I already have? Okay, I will add a multiply sign. That's super basic. Plus, I basically have to turn this and extend it a little bit. So cool. Let's add one. Multiply. Hope I spelled that right. I guess I'll know. Cool. It has the Unicode. It has a placeholder. So looks like I did. Let's see. Oops. That's not what I want. I want this. I want to turn it 45 degrees, please. And what's the best way to do this? Maybe I'll go to the background, add a component, add a plus. Cool. And by the way, I probably want to match it to the tabular numeral width, so that's 615. Okay, let's do that. Nice. And then basically I think that's too much. Okay, I guess it's 5 or 50 units basically over and up. I just kind of try to count in my head. Does that look like the same height? I mean, I think so. Hard to... Maybe it should go one more. Cool. Let's go to this too. Okay, looks pretty good in this middle interpolation as well. That's nice. And we need a divide sign, I believe, as well. Probably don't have it yet. Might as well add it at the same time. Divide. Okay, so this guy, let's keep that. And then make sure it's also 615. Oops, what the? That's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Oh. Do I have a minus? Oh, minus. I forget the difference between... Well, there's like a hyphen minus thing. Okay, I better actually go look that one up after I do this. Let's see what happens if we add a period component. We should probably like decompose that after we do this. Just because we might change the period sizing or spacing, and we don't necessarily want to tie this to that. I'm just trying to check if it's in the middle, more or less. Okay, and these are way too big, so yeah. It's actually a little bit hard to know the best move to make in a way. I think it just has to be a little taller at the black side of things, because otherwise there'd be a point where it like or it's almost crashing but not quite, which is pretty annoying. Alright, well, take it like that. And I think I've got I better add like alright, you know what? I'm gonna decompose these. And then let me add a guide here. Turn on its measuring capability. Okay. What if there's a setting where I could set it to measure by default? That'd be kind of cool. This actually looks maybe a little too tall in this side, so I'm going to pop those down by a few units. Maybe only 5. Nothing looks right, turns out. And I feel like I'm spending more time than the divide sign necessarily deserves. Is that a mean thing to say about this divide sign? I don't know. We still have the multiply, right? Okay, cool. And I guess we better copy those over. Is there a thing for math here? Should be. Yes, I guess so. We should make sure these are copied over to the italics. Math. That's actually a good question. Should the multiply and divide? Probably. I mean, my equals and such are. Oh, and let's add a minus here. Okay. Oh, gotta make it 615. Nope, not that. Okay. Oh, you know what I can do? I could add a matrix key. That is much more sensible. I always forget that glyphs allows that sort of thing. Pretty nice. Let's see. Cool. And here. Also. Okay, then let's slant these, I guess. 11.31. I think we'll have to fix the... Yeah, definitely. So actually, let's copy that one to the background. And then... Wait. Yeah, so instead I want to maybe rotate this. Is that the right amount? See, the rotation looks way more extreme. Oops, I guess I can't do that. 11.31 divided by 2. Yeah, that looks about right. And then I'll just kind of drag it down. And see how that looks. So basically I'm trying to keep these lines completely monolinear. There's a bit of an optical illusion there or something. This kind of maybe needs a slight bit more thickness to look like it should. And then here, this is easy because I've got that plus in the background, so I'm just going to arrange these to that. And then I guess this will slope forward. Seems like it's off center, but oh, you know, this could have a plus sign on either side. Okay, so and actually a little script I made for stuff like this is set centered guide vertical. And now I can better do that. And I'm keeping these guys as actual circles because I think that's what I do. Yeah, I keep like the period and the I dot as perfect circles in this italic because I think that looks cool. Sometimes an italic geometric thing would need a bit of slant on circles and a bit of rotation to look right, but here I kind of like the slight juxtaposition. Okay, let's throw this in the back and slant it, and then go back to the front and rotate it by half, and then bring these up to the right level and down to the right level. And see how that looks. Wait. Okay. I think that looks probably pretty okay. Yeah, I mean, this needs a bit of optical correction, I guess. But how? Basically, I want to make sure that the top and bottom things are aligned properly. Oh, now you're not going to give me that, okay. And I want the vertical extremes to be aligned so that like when it's rendered in a really small pixel grid and a smaller font size, it's not like, I think those same values will hopefully be rendered at the same amount of pixels. It might depend, but it's worth a shot. All right, that looks pretty good. Oh. Let's center it. And I'm kind of centering it with like Control Command left right to move it within its space. Cool. Okay. So now we can check off this. And oh, do I have a minus? I do have a minus here. Okay, but I didn't have a minus in a Roman yet. All right. And some of these I won't do right now. Like the, what even is that thing called? The heart thingy. The section is a good symbol to leave for later, I think, because I might potentially still fuss with the S, and it's pretty rarely used. But the degree I do use quite a lot, so maybe that's the last one I'll do in this video, and then it seems like it's a good length. Did it add? Okay, it did. So 89 degrees. What does my ring comb look like? Kind of like that. I see. I still keep a slight amount of contrast there, but I don't think I should actually in here. It's just a degree, so it's basically should be a perfect little circle. So maybe that's what I'll do. I'll just keep the contrast. How big should it be? So when you just draw a straight up circle, often the sides, it almost gives it like a bit of a diamond shape if you don't go ahead and correct that slightly. So I'm going to correct it slightly. Let's see if I can remember. Okay, yeah. So Control Option will reflect movements on the other side of the handle, which is pretty nice. And I'll be pretty subtle here. I just want to make it just slightly more square-shouldered so it doesn't look wrong. And trying to think if that matches the, I think it does, it matches the thinness. Okay. I'll take it and let's see. Well, it should probably, is it too big? Yeah, it is. Dang it. Well, I think it is. It's kind of like a lot bigger than other symbols, and I don't think it should be. So let's bring it down a notch. I think making it about the same size as the asterisk is probably pretty sensible. I might adjust my opinion later, but I think it's a good first pass. I'm going to just make sure that the sides are equal. But why did that not work? There we go. Equals bar. And then let's bring it over here. Make the inner circle nice and small. And it's funny, I think these are technically the same distance as before. 109, 109, yeah, these are the same distance, but these look so much thinner than these, so we're gonna have to bump this out slightly. Maybe I'll do it like this, just to preserve an appearance of monolinearity. And we'll have to bring it in by a bit. I guess if you hold Option Shift 8, you can type the degree. The other day I learned that you type the degree on an iPhone keyboard by holding the 0 key, and then it's like an accent style option there. Don't know why they didn't use the asterisk. I kind of prefer that, but like you would on a keyboard. All right, seems like a serviceable degree to me. Is it too big here? It feels a lot bigger here. How does it compare? Okay. Yeah, maybe like the asterisk, it should be just a little bit bigger in this bolder style. Feels good to me. Okay. And then we can straight up copy this into the italic. This doesn't work for many things, but I think the degree in this particular style works really nicely. To not slant it, that is. Let's check the spacing again. So it's like 60 in the light. And 25 in the bold. Cool. Nice. All right, well, here's what I'll do. I will edit this slightly so that I know to still do these later, but know that I did this. All right, and I may or may not do all of these things. Like, I'm skeptical about whether there'd be value in adding a double story G with a more conventional tail. Like, I feel like half the thing I love about this design, and it's not all my invention, like I took this off of the gravestone that inspired this design, and I did actually make it a little more conventional than before, but I like that it's got a cute little tail here, and I'll probably experiment with like a really conventional look, but I did experiment with it early on and kind of like this one, so I don't know. We'll see. Some of these will happen. A lot of these things will definitely happen, because I feel like they're necessary. So I guess tomorrow on a actual work day, I'll try to blast through a lot more of these. But yeah, honestly, like the ones I have done so far are the majority of the work for sure. Oh, basic case punctuation. Check. And yeah, so I'm really excited to like put out this update. It'll also include, well, I don't know how much I should spoil for the 5 people who watch this video, but it'll also include all of the weights and styles for the family, and yeah, more swashes. So everybody likes a good swash, I think. And yeah, lots of other little improvements and extra characters and such. So yeah, pretty stoked on it. All right, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something fun. Hopefully you found it somewhat entertaining. Yeah, give a comment if you have any questions. Happy to try to answer things or just see what you liked. Thanks a lot. Peace.